So first of all, the Hadoop big data marketplace doesn't happen in person years, it happens in dog years. So things change very quickly. So what's actually happening is the market is evolving. It started off life where early adopters and technical enthusiasts, they would download open source software, the Apache Hadoop technology from either Cloudera or Hortonworks, they'd buy some servers, and then they'd start to experiment in a sort of lab environment. Now, the average deal sizes with those companies is still pretty small, so they're clearly not going into full production environments. And our definition of a production environment, by the way, is mission critical, which means that there has to be an SLA, a service level agreement. What happens if this application goes down for 2 hours? Well, if they don't care, then it's clearly not in production. In the production environment, we think that the market is going to revert to type, and that's where the classic companies, Oracle, HP, and so on and so forth, will dominate. Those are the companies now that are building. Oracle have something called the Oracle Big Data Appliance. IBM have IBM Big Data Insights. Teradata have an appliance for Hadoop. So all of those companies are developing very quickly Hadoop strategies, Hadoop-based strategies for both on-premise and in the cloud. And we think that is a trend moving forward. Fusion was a product born out of this evolution in the marketplace where rather than it just being about Apache Hadoop in the early market, it was about mixed storage, it was about HP and all these other companies building appliances. So Fusion supports not just Hadoop, it also supports Teradata, EMC Isilon, in other words, a mixed storage environment. Fusion also, in that market, in the latter market, where it's not technical propeller heads implementing the technology, it's sophisticated people, but they need something that's easy to install, easy to manage, and easy to use. So Fusion is downloadable. It's a downloadable application from our website that companies can deploy themselves. Fusion does two things for us. The first thing it does is the old product, what we call non-stop Hadoop. We had to engage with the customer, deliver a value proposition, go and meet with them, persuade them to buy servers, go in. That product was pretty invasive. It required us to make changes to the underlying file system and then deploy over a 5-day period. Fusion, in comparison, is downloadable from our website. Companies can deploy it themselves in probably less than 15 minutes and begin to test either on-premise or in the cloud. The core use case for using WANdisco technology is about resilience and data redundancy. And that's always going to be at the very core. Supporting SLAs for products, service level agreements where you cannot have an outage. So it's one thing if, just this past weekend, Amazon Web Services went down, much to the disappointment of many teenagers. Tinder went offline. Now, Tinder goes offline, you can't get a date, probably, possibly, but that's not mission critical. When we're talking about trading systems, heart pacemaker monitors and things like that, those applications simply cannot go offline. Now the use cases are changing. So as opposed to it being about just resiliency, it's now about things like we can deliver ROI from day one because you get 100% use of compute resources. So to scale up a Hadoop deployment, we can do it at 50% of the cost because now you can use your disaster recovery side. So the first half of the year saw our application lifecycle management software development tools business that still uses the same patents that we're using in big data, by the way. That business stalled, as you put it. We were very disappointed because the market for Subversion and for Git is growing, and some of our peers are seeing growth between 7 and 25% in those markets, sometimes 40% in the case of some younger companies. So we simply have to get that business back on track. And it was really some distraction because, of course, big data is the sexy part of the IT infrastructure economy at the moment. That was one factor. And also, I think, focus from our sales team. The real heart of the problem, there's no structural change in that market, but I do think we had a sales execution problem. So what are we doing to fix that? Well, we've diverted inside sales back onto ALM to start generating leads for our enterprise sales force. And secondly, we're ensuring that all of our enterprise sales team members are both trained and quota carrying in that market. And I think we'll see in the second half that restore back to the levels that it was at previously. No, you see, the UK, we're a bit of an unusual duck in the sense that we actually have real patents and real intellectual property. So we're not we don't call ourselves a technology business because we're shipping food or something, and I'm not picking on any individual company there. So up front in a technology business, like Google, like Facebook, like any of those companies, you have a period of sustained development of intellectual property. So Fusion, for example, which we've just developed, finished, launched into the market, then you get economies of scale. So Fusion enables us to ship products now at scale to lots of companies. So we don't need the huge operational infrastructure that we might have in the past. Where the bit of our business that has to scale with this is support, but I don't need a tremendously large engineering team to develop this product. I don't need to add any more engineers. Because we have more of a channel-based strategy, I don't need thousands of enterprise sales guys in order to scale the business. So because the intellectual property, because this is a pure IP business, we've sort of finished the product and now we can ship it at scale. So the company is very focused on two things at the moment. One thing is, I already mentioned, restoring the ALM business back to the prior levels, and that should be a profitable business. It's developed 100% from our offices in Belfast. The second point is momentum in our big data deals and with our WANdisco Fusion product. In Q2, we saw 8 new customers. Those 8 customers were all signed in the final few days of June. Why? Because the product was finished and available for POCs in early June. As we move forward, we should start to see tremendous momentum as we grow from 8+ deals. Quarter on quarter growth momentum is what we're looking for.